The world sees strength as something loud, something that roars, something that shines, something that announces itself with confidence, so big that everyone around takes notice. But the truth is far more complicated. Real strength rarely announces itself. Real strength is silent, invisible, deeply personal, and often misunderstood. The strongest people you know are rarely the ones who look strongest. They are the ones who learned how to survive storms no one saw, how to fight battles no one acknowledged, and how to carry pain so quietly that the world mistakenly calls them fine. But inside them lies a universe of battles that would break most people. These people have learned how to move through life as if nothing is wrong. They can sit in a room full of people and make everyone laugh, even though their own heart feels like it's weighed down by something heavy and unexplainable. They can give the best advice, the warmest hugs, and the most comforting words, even though deep inside they wish someone would give them the same comfort. They have trained themselves to become the source of strength for others, not because they never break, but because they learned how to rebuild themselves in darkness where no one could see. What people don't realize is that the strongest individuals are not born strong. They are forged. Forged in loneliness, forged in disappointment, forged in heartbreak, forged in silent battles where the only person they had to rely on was themselves. They learned how to pick themselves up because no one else was there to do it. They learned how to wipe their tears quickly because someone needed them. They learned how to endure pain quietly because they were scared that if they spoke, no one would understand, or worse, no one would care. These people walk through life carrying invisible weight. They carry memories they never talk about, wounds that never fully healed, fears that never fully left, and dreams that were crushed long before they had the chance to bloom, and yet they keep going. With a bravery that looks ordinary from the outside, but is extraordinary on the inside, the strongest people hide their deepest battles because they learned long ago that the world doesn't always handle vulnerability well. They learned that some people will use your pain against you, judge you for it, or dismiss it entirely. So instead of sharing their truth, they learned how to protect it. They built emotional armor, layer by layer, each layer made from a different heartbreak, a different disappointment, a different lesson. But here's the part no one sees. Every strong person is soft inside. Every warrior has a tired heart. Every smiling face hides a few stories that they pray no one asks about. Every I'm good hides at least one unanswered question. If I fall, will anyone catch me? And most of the time, the answer has always been no, so they became their own safety net. They hold themselves together in moments when anyone else would fall apart. They suppress emotional breakdowns because there's no time, no space, no permission to fall apart. They walk with confidence even when their hands are shaking. They give to others even when they have nothing left to give themselves. They show up to their responsibilities even when every cell in their body is screaming for rest. But the world rarely acknowledges their effort because their strength makes everything look easy. When you're strong, people expect more from you. They assume you don't need help. They assume you don't get tired. They assume you don't struggle. And slowly, without realizing it, the burden increases. More responsibility, more expectations, more emotional labor. Yet they carry it. Not because they want to, but because they don't know how to be any other way. What people fail to realize is that the strongest individuals are often those who grew up in environments that never allowed them to express weakness. Maybe they had parents who depended on them emotionally. Maybe they experienced loss early in life and were forced to mature fast. Maybe they witnessed chaos and became the fixer. Maybe they were never comforted, so they learned to comfort themselves. Maybe they were never understood, so they learned to stay silent. These people often have no idea how to ask for help. Not because they don't want support, but because they aren't used to receiving it. They don't know how to fall into someone else's arms. They don't know how to take a break. They don't know how to cry in front of others. They don't know how to say, "I need you," because their entire identity has been built on the belief that they must be strong always. And when life hits them harder than usual, they don't crumble in front of others. They crumble alone. Late at night, behind closed doors, in silent rooms where no one can witness their vulnerability. Their breakdowns are small, quiet, controlled, because even in their lowest moments, they are scared of being a burden. But here's the truth. Even the strongest hearts have a limit. Even the strongest shoulders eventually get tired. Even the strongest minds need rest. Even the strongest souls need peace. And the tragedy is this: often they break only after they've supported everyone else. They collapse only after carrying others. They fall only after they've made sure that everyone else is stable. Because they are not weak. They are tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of enduring. Tired of being strong for too long. Pain changes people in ways strength never will. Pain forces them to grow in directions they never chose. Pain teaches them lessons no one else learns. Pain deepens their soul and sharpens their mind. Pain becomes their teacher, their mentor, sculptor, shaping them into someone who can carry weight the world doesn't understand. But this transformation comes at a cost. A cost that stays hidden behind their eyes. A cost they never talk about. A cost they pay silently every day. The world looks at them and sees toughness. But inside, there's a heart that wants rest. A mind that wants silence. A soul that wants healing. A spirit that wants to be seen not as strong, but as human. No one talks about how lonely it is to be strong. How isolating it feels to have everyone depend on you. How exhausting it is to be the anchor in everyone else's storm. How painful it is when no one asks what you need. Because when you're always strong, people forget that you can bleed too. They forget that you have limits, emotions, fears, and unspoken wounds that echo through your chest when the world goes quiet. They forget that your silence is not always peace. Sometimes it's exhaustion disguised as calm. They forget that your smile is not always joy. Sometimes it's survival disguised as optimism. They forget that your patience is not endless. Sometimes it's frustration swallowed, so deeply that even you can't taste it anymore. Strength has a way of masking everything the heart can no longer afford to show. People come to you for advice because you're the wise one. They come to you for comfort because you're the stable one. They come to you for support because you're the strong one. But who do you go to? Who comforts the comforter? Who supports the supporter? Who stabilizes the one the world leans on? Most of the time, no one, because people assume the strongest don't need anything. But even mountains crumble when the ground beneath them shakes hard enough. And the truth is, the strongest people carry the deepest battles, not because they want to hide them, but because they feel responsible for protecting everyone else from their storm. They fear that if they allow anyone to see the storm, it might spill into their lives too. So they hold it in. They control the emotional earthquake happening inside them with nothing but willpower and silence. These battles are not small. They are not simple. They are not harmless. Some battles come from childhood, things they were too young to understand, too young to explain, too young to process. Some battles come from love, heartbreaks that felt like betrayal from the one person they trusted the most. Some battles come from life, dreams that failed, opportunities that slipped through their fingers, chances they never got. Some battles come from themselves, fears they hide, doubts they suppress, guilt they carry. Hopes they keep buried because they're scared of being disappointed again. And still, they wake up every morning and push forward. Not because they are fearless, but because they've survived fear so many times that they learned how to walk with it. Not because they are unbreakable, but because they've broken so many times that they learned how to rebuild quietly. Not because they have everything figured out, but because they learned how to keep moving even when everything inside them is screaming to stop. The strongest people often feel emotions more deeply than anyone else. Their empathy is intense. Their heart is sensitive. Their intuition is sharp. They notice everything, the tone in someone's voice, the sadness in someone's eyes, the heaviness in someone's silence. They feel other people's pain almost as if it were their own. And that is exactly why they learn to hide their own battles, because they know what pain feels like. And they don't want anyone else to experience even a fraction of what they carry. This kind of strength is not built overnight. It is shaped slowly and painfully. It's built in the nights you cried quietly so no one would hear you. In the moments you swallowed your truth because you didn't want to hurt anyone. In the days you forced yourself to show up when your mind begged you to stay in bed. In the hours you comforted others while your own heart was breaking silently. Strength like this is not glamorous. It's not loud. It's not picture perfect. It's raw. It's heavy. It's lonely. But it is real. And the most heartbreaking part is this. The world rarely recognizes this kind of strength until the person finally breaks. Only then do people say, "I never knew they were struggling. I never imagined they were hurting. They always look so strong." That's because they had to. Because life did not give them the luxury of falling apart in front of others. Because they became someone others relied on. Because vulnerability felt unsafe. Because their pain became something they carried in silence to protect the people they loved. But inside them is a war between who they are and who they pretend to be. A war between the strong version everyone sees and the fragile version they hide. A war between the comfort they give and the comfort they crave. A war between the world they support and the world that rarely supports them. And this war never truly ends. But the strongest people learn something powerful along the way. Sometimes the deepest battles produce the most extraordinary strength. Sometimes the most painful experiences build the most unshakable resilience. Sometimes the heaviest emotions create the most compassionate hearts. Sometimes the darkest nights create the brightest souls. They become the type of people who can survive storms most others would collapse under. They become the type who can rebuild from nothing. They become the type who can start again even after losing everything. They become the type who can walk alone and still move forward. They become the type who can love deeply even after being hurt repeatedly. They become the type who can forgive even when forgiveness feels impossible. Their strength isn't a mask. It's a masterpiece carved from suffering. And though they hide their deepest battles, those battles shape them into someone powerful, someone who inspires others without even trying. Because the truth is, the strongest people in the world are not the ones who show strength in front of you. They are the ones who fight invisible wars in silence and still choose kindness. Still choose compassion. Still choose love. Still choose to keep going. Their battles don't weaken them. They deepen them. They don't harden them. They awaken them. They don't destroy them. They transform them. And one day, when their story is finally told, people will realize that the strength they admired was built not from ease, but from endurance. Not from comfort, but from chaos. Not from blessings, but from burdens. And when that day comes, the world will understand the truth. The strongest people were never strong because life was good to them. They were strong because life tried to break them and failed. The strongest people walk through life with a strange kind of duality inside them. Half warrior, half-wounded child. They know how to protect themselves, yet deep inside they wish someone would protect them for once. They know how to advise others, yet deep inside they wish someone would guide them for once. They know how to stay calm in chaos, yet deep inside they pray for a moment where they don't have to be the calm one. They are the ones who keep their world together, even when their own world is falling apart in places no one sees. And the tragedy is, the world mistakes their strength for invincibility. The world assumes that someone who carries so much weight must somehow enjoy carrying it. They don't see the nights when their chest feels too tight to breathe. They don't see the mornings when they wake up tired even after sleeping. They don't see the moments when they hide in bathrooms, cars, or quiet corners just to gather themselves for a minute. They don't see the thousands of silent pep talks they give to their own soul just to survive another day. They don't see how heavy the invisible armor feels. They only see the shine, never the scratches. But what makes these people extraordinary is not that they are strong. It's that they stay kind. They stay warm. They stay compassionate, generous, giving, patient, understanding, even when life has given them every reason to be cold. They have been disappointed, yet they don't disappoint others. They have been broken, yet they treat others gently. They have been betrayed, yet they remain trustworthy. They have been abandoned, yet they show up. That is the rarest form of strength, a heart that stays soft even after everything it has survived, a soul that chooses light even after walking through darkness, a mind that keeps believing even after being proved wrong repeatedly. These people carry a wisdom that cannot be taught. It can only be earned through pain. But even they reach a point where they cannot continue the same way. Something inside them eventually whispers, "You deserve rest too." And it is in that whisper that their healing begins. Not in some dramatic moment, not in some emotional explosion, but in quiet realizations. Healing for strong people doesn't start when they ask for help. It starts when they finally allow themselves to admit they need it. It starts when they stop pretending that they're okay. It starts when they stop carrying every burden alone. It starts when they acknowledge that strength without rest becomes self-destruction. It starts when they stop silencing their own pain just to keep the world comfortable. The strongest people struggle to heal because healing requires vulnerability, something they have been trained their whole life to avoid. They don't know how to let others carry them. They don't know how to share their fears without feeling weak. They don't know how to show their wounds without feeling exposed. So their healing is slow, quiet, gentle, like someone trying to learn a language they were never taught. They stumble. They resist. They fall back into old patterns. They allow themselves to feel for a moment, then immediately shut down again because it feels too unfamiliar. But slowly, piece by piece, they begin to open. They begin to breathe differently. They begin to understand that vulnerability isn't a threat. It's a doorway. A doorway to connection, to peace, to relief, to a version of themselves that doesn't have to be strong all the time. Healing teaches them something they never realized. Being strong was never the goal. Surviving was. And now that they've survived, it's time to live. Time to feel. Time to rest. Time to grow not from pain, but from peace. Time to build not from fear, but from hope. Time to choose themselves the way they chose others. Time to forgive themselves for the years they spent pretending they were fine. And for the first time in a long time, they allow themselves to imagine a life where strength is not defined by silence, where they can be honest about their struggles, where they can lean on others without guilt, where they can say, "I'm tired," without feeling weak, where they can have days of softness without apologizing, where they can finally be human instead of a fortress. But even through healing, something beautiful happens. Their strength evolves. It becomes deeper, quieter, more grounded. Not the heavy, exhausting strength built from suffering, but a peaceful strength built from self-awareness. Not the strength that requires hiding, but the strength that thrives in authenticity. Not the strength that shuts people out, but the strength that lets the right people in. This new strength does not roar. It does not pretend. It does not suppress. It simply exists, soft, calm, unshakable. And this is when they realize something remarkable. The battles they hid for so long didn't just break them, they built them. They shaped their character, sharpened their instincts, expanded their empathy, deepened their wisdom, strengthened their heart. Their silent wars turned them into the type of person who can guide others because they know darkness intimately. They can comfort others because they remember what it felt like to be alone. They can inspire others because they survived things that could have destroyed them. They can love others because they know exactly how much love can heal. Their battles made them strong, not in the way the world sees strength, but in the way that truly matters. And when they finally look back at everything they've endured, they don't see weakness. They see resilience. They don't see brokenness. They see evolution. They don't see loss. They see lessons. They don't see darkness. They see the sparks that help them navigate through it. The world often misunderstands people like this, but that misunderstanding no longer matters. Because the strongest people realize that their journey was never about being understood. It was about becoming who they were meant to be. Their battles taught them humility, courage, and emotional depth that most people never reach. Their scars became their roadmap. Their pain became their power. Their silence became their teacher. And so their story ends not with bitterness, not with exhaustion, not with loneliness, but with clarity. The clarity that true strength was never about carrying everything alone. True strength was learning when to put the weight down. True strength was learning when to walk away. True strength was learning when to rest. True strength was learning when to feel. True strength was learning when to let someone else be strong for them. They finally understand that the world didn't need them to be perfect, it just needed them to be real. And being real means allowing yourself to be human, to hurt, to heal, to grow, to soften, to transform. And so the strongest people, the ones who hid their deepest battles for so long, finally learned the one truth they were never taught. You are allowed to be both strong and struggling. You are allowed to be both brave and afraid. You are allowed to be both healing and hurting. You are allowed to be human. And in that moment, they are no longer hiding. They are becoming